Family, welcome to the channel. The channel is called The Layman. We're going to be interacting with Bryan Johnson. He believes that human beings should be immortal and that our number one goal should be to strive toward that end, toward never dying again. He was on Jubilee and he debated a bunch of anti-aging skeptics. Listen, nevertheless, we're going to interact with Bryan Johnson. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you dig the content. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
My first claim, ending death should be humanity's number one objective.
I disagree. I disagree so far. Let's see.
Hi, I'm Brighton.
Hi, Brighton.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. First off, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I'm super honored to get the chance to talk to you. I hope this can be an opportunity.
He said he's honored to talk to Bryan Johnson. I don't know really who Bryan Johnson is. I thought this was an interesting thing that popped up on Jubilee. Maybe he's some like accomplished scientist or something. I don't know his background, such that it should be like an honor to meet him. But you know, let's let him cook.
Where I can learn, where you can learn, and where we can teach the audience something. I'm not trying to prove you wrong, but I also don't want to misconstrue your words.
I respect it. He's abiding by the cooperative principle. Shout out to H.P. Grice.
So why do you think ending death should be humanity's top priority?
Because I think this moment we live in is really special. We are giving birth to super intelligence. We all know that AI is moving very quickly, and we don't quite know what exactly it is, but it's big and it's fast. And so the suggestion I have is that in this moment, when we're giving birth to superintelligence, that we are wise to transition our focus from a world where we value death to one where we say we are the first generation who won't die. That basically we're saying we value existence above all other things.
Yeah, but he didn't answer the question. The question is, why do you believe that ending death should be our number one priority? It seems that Bryan Johnson's answer is just, well, you know what? AI is really strong and powerful, and I think we should do this. Okay?
So it's basically a contemplation of, if you're human on planet Earth in this part of the galaxy, what does intelligent life do when you're giving birth to superintelligence? We say existence. That is the number one thing we care about.
Existence is the number one thing we care about. It seems that this is coming from an ecologically ignorant point of view with respect to Bryan Johnson, whoever Bryan Johnson is. I think that what we should put an end to, and hopefully what AI can get the human race to realize, is that we are more than the boundaries of our skin. The skin itself is an osmotic membrane. It participates with the environment around it. My skin is letting things in and keeping things out. There's melanin, which participates with the sunlight and like nutrients. So there's a degree to which myself and the surrounding environment are one. You know, and I'm working hard to realize that without needing a psychedelic trip. You know what I'm saying? But you know, the problem is in our understanding of ourselves and our clinging to things which die, transient things, let's say. But you know, let's continue to hear him out.
Right. So you have a faith in AI to get us to reach the point where we can avoid death. And I would say there's no concrete evidence right now that we have that we can end death. You're kind of basing that off of the empirical data and the studies regarding AI's progression. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I've heard you say before that religion is a thing created to kind of make death okay and make the idea of death not as scary, and that humans are very clever. Wouldn't you say that your faith in AI's progression to end death is kind of that same argument, that same faith, just to avoid death as a whole?
Yeah, it's a good point. So what I say is that humans have always died. Up until this point, there's an end of life.
He said up until this point. Like he really buys into it. He's like, up until now, we've died in the past. He doesn't believe he'll die, likely.
And when end of life happens, people have been coming up with reasons of why it's a good thing for hundreds of thousands of years.
Right.
And so the idea may be you'll be reincarnated, maybe there's a heaven, maybe that you will achieve immortality in what you do, and you'll be remembered for your deeds as a soldier or an entrepreneur or a poet or a politician. And so people have always sought a form of immortality.
This is kind of what I mean by the fact that, you know, Bryan Johnson may be an ecologically unintelligent person. And ecology is the study of the organism's relationship with its environment. What I am, essentially, is a way of being that expresses itself through a human being, right? If you think that I'm fundamentally a human being, it's like, think about it. I am a way of being. I'm somebody who gets up and turns on the camera and puts out YouTube videos and hopes that people watch. My wife, thinks, yeah, I'm a father, I'm a husband. Calling myself a father means I participate in a way of being, right? Which we have learned to put a label on called fatherhood. I have a CDL on my license, right? So I can drive big trucks. Having CDL on my license means that I'm allowed to participate in a way of being, right? I'm in a state of becoming. Processes. If we think of ourselves that way, if I dedicate my life to the ways of being that I want to continue in the world after this spacesuit is diminished, who are you to say that that is not me continuing, right?
Indeed, or in this life or the afterlife. And so what I'm saying is this is actually the first time in human history where a reasonable person could say, we may be the first generation who won't die and not be left out of the room. Now, you're right, there is no evidence we can actually do it, but some biological species like a species of the jellyfish and the hydra have achieved immortality. So we know biology has solved for immortality, just not in the human species.
And this is one of the things I do respect about Jubilee. It puts the fact check up. It says some species, such as Turritopsis, Dory, and Hydra, can avoid senescence, the gradual loss of cellular function that causes aging. They may achieve biological immortality under ideal conditions, but still die from disease, predators, or environmental factors. So they are not they're not indestructible. But they're giving Bryan Johnson some hope. Let's say that.
Has been solved for.
Right. So kind of to shift the topic a little bit, that is also based off the assumption that death is a bad thing. Because we don't know if death is a good thing. And I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong about the creations of religion, but we can't kind of make that decision ourselves whether death is a good or bad thing. I would say the creation of religion, if it is based off of a fear, it's less based off of fear of death and more based off of a fear of the unknown.
The philosopher Hegel would say that you are a finite determination of the infinite, soon to be further determined by your own negation, meaning your death. When you die, that's when we really realize what you are. Like right now, you're in a state of becoming. It's like, who knows? You might become a fireman tomorrow. You may become a teacher. You might go back to school and get your degree and change our interpretation of physics or biology or whatever you major in. But as of right now, you are still kind of being defined. When you die, we kind of see that lens on reality that you were. I think that ending death might be a net negative in the long term and only satisfying or at least, interesting in the short term. I don't know, though. Let me know what you think in the comments.
And I would say that that's kind of two sides of the same coin when we're running away from death and we're trying to do everything we can to avoid death, but that's just because we don't know. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I'm saying that the reason why I would identify defeating death as humanity's number one objective is because we have embraced it as part of our daily lives. When somebody stays up late and misses their bedtime, when they eat a pint of ice cream before bed, when they get very drunk, when they smoke cigarettes, when they eat toxic foods, those things are a form of death. When companies that make addictive algorithms, that make addictive foods, when they make those things, they're profiting off of your death. And so what I'm saying is we have built a world built on the profit of death and on people seeking death. That's the environment in which we're giving birth to superintelligence. That's what I'm identifying is that's the danger. We don't want to bring in our new computer companions, our new AI companions, and say, we are a species that...
His arguments are really strange. He's saying, on the one hand, Ben & Jerry's is profiting on a lot of death. And I think I see the water that he's swimming in when he makes statements like that. However, I think that Ben & Jerry's stock would skyrocket if we were suddenly immortal. It's like, look, bro, now I can eat all the ice cream I don't have to worry about it, right? Fuck vegetables. Let's see.
That values death. We want to say we are a species that values existence.
Right. So I've heard you say before, I think Lester Green said this and you said this, that existence is the highest virtue.
Yeah.
And I would argue that a positive existence is the highest virtue. And that would mean that
Existence is the highest virtue might be the silliest thing I've ever heard. When I think of the term existence, I think of it in two different ways. First, the etymological rendering, which isn't quite a definition, but ex meaning out and sist meaning to stand. If it stands out, it exists. If it is salient, right? If I foreground it instead of backgrounding it, that is one form of existence. And then there is a mind-independent existence, what Immanuel Kant might call the noumena. And to say that existence is the highest value or even a value at all, I mean, I think that, what exists in that etymological way or what stands out to you determines your values. But to say existence is the greatest value, I don't even know what that means. I couldn't even begin to unpack that. Help me out if you think I'm missing it.
our top priority should then be ending suffering so that we can promote a good and enjoyable life rather than just avoiding death.
I don't even think we should end suffering. Guys, am I off here? Listen, I'm gonna throw the logo back up. I'm gonna throw the logo back up because I don't know much. I want to why would we end suffering? The valleys are the reasons we enjoy the peaks. You know what I'm saying? We only enjoy the peaks because of the valleys, right? I think that we should have more of an associative experience of suffering, meaning compassion. I think compassion should increase. We should suffer with one another as opposed to suffering in isolation. But I don't even agree with the idea that we should end suffering. I'll let them cook. Cook, sir. I apologize for the interruption.
Yeah, the challenge with saying a positive existence is that your version of positive may be different than someone else's positive. And when two humans agree on their versions of a given idea, they typically kill each other,
Right.
or it results in very serious violence. And so don't die is actually the single thing that every human on the planet can agree to every second of every day. Everyone agrees, don't die right now.
But I would argue that it's not about not.
I think I like that because he keeps saying right now. Even though whenever I'm present, whenever I'm genuinely present, I'm not thinking about don't die right now. I'm pausing it too much at this point, guys.
Dying, because why people have that feeling is because there's an urgency to live tomorrow because we die. I would argue that urgency comes out of the fact that our life ends. And that's why we want to continue to live, is because we have that endpoint. And that's why tomorrow matters so much, and I want to exist tomorrow. If death didn't exist, then we may not have that same feeling of, I want to exist tomorrow.
Many people have looked back through history, and you see that there were ideas about reality, of things that people wanted to do, or justified, and norms change. For example, universal human rights is an example, right? Or ending of slavery. Those were ideas that people believed fervently in that time and place. Now they're gone. They're no longer part of our zeitgeist. And right now, death is seen as inevitable, it's acceptable, it's even desirable for some. That is an idea that is really going to be challenged in this moment.
All right, he's about to be voted out. And look, maybe I will put another clip up. We'll let the next person kind of go on there. But meaning, I think this is according to the cognitive scientist John Vervaeke. He said, meaning in life, if you want to know what it means to have meaning in your life, ask yourself, what would you like to continue after you're dead? And after you answer that question, ask yourself, what are you contributing to the thriving of that thing? So say it's philosophy, for instance. If you just say, look, I love philosophy so much that I want philosophy to do well even after I'm gone. I want philosophical thinking or scientific thinking to continue even after I'm gone, right? Meaning in life for you is going to be contingent on you actually adding to those conversations, whether as a layman like myself or, you get your higher degree or whatever, right? But I agree with the person who's challenging Bryan here. It's like, look, if there is no after I'm gone, what effects is that going to have on meaning? Because in order for meaning in life to be there, you have to have a narrative order. What part do I play in the story? You have to have a normative order. What ought I do and ought not do, right? And a lot of times oughts and ought nots are tied and tethered to the fact that that we aren't permanent. But listen, leave a comment. Thank you for journeying with me this far. Let me know if you want to see part 2 of this.